you so much. And guys, we're just so excited to be here because we want to shift the stigma. We want to tell the world about God's secret plants. We want to tell people and help people learn about the healing properties that these molecules within the plant that God put on this earth, and how our body could incorporate this in our bodies and actually use it to heal itself, just how God designed it to be. And we have phenomenal, phenomenal plants on this earth, like cannabis and mushrooms, like ashwagandha, kava kava. We have so many different products that God has utilized for us to utilize here on earth that could be utilized to help each other, people in our community, people in our families, ourselves. To myself as a combat veteran, and many of you have known my story, but I actually retired from the United States Air Force, and at one period of time, I was on 18 different medications. Like I was on pills that help me wake up. I was on pills to help me go to sleep. I was on pills to help with my digestion. I was on pills to help with my pain. I was having surgeries. I was having injections. I was having chiropractic care. I was getting, epidurals. I was getting chiropractors. I was getting like a dry needling, acupuncture, Reiki. I was suctioning cups and stuff like that. I was doing so many different things just so that I could wake up and be mobile throughout the day. And you don't realize how debilitating it is when you're so young, right? And we realize that more and more, we see in each generation, we're getting sicker and sicker younger ages. Things of polypharmacy, when people are taking 3 or 4 different medications. We always saw that in the elderly population. We always saw that people who are 80 and older. But now we see that in people in midlife, people in their 30s and 40s and 50s with up to double digits in medications. It's like, how is that? Because we left the farmland. We left the plants that were in the earth. We didn't go back to the things that God put for us on this earth, for our bodies to heal itself, how it was designed. And because we had incorporated that in our diets, incorporated that in our everyday lives, our bodies are breaking down. We see diseases after disease after disease coming forth. And that's why we created this forum, so that we can educate each other. And we know that, hey, there's things that's alternatives, right? The primary medicine was plant medicine. And then medicine, we know now when doctors prescribe, those are drugs. And then we try to help people that cannabis isn't a drug, it's a medication that a guy has put for us to utilize. So that's why we started this. Thank you so much for coming on here so we can help shift the stigma. And I'm so happy to have this opportunity to share this forum with Mr. Eric Carter. And Mr. Eric Carter, he's been in the industry for decades, and he's actually very familiar with this plant because he grew up with it. And he can tell his stories. And that's I want to take still his thunder. But he was a man that have taught me so many different things, because he usually had 3 different dispensaries, 2 different kiosks. He was an advocate from a very young age, and he's on a platform and travels the world discussing these products and discussing God's sacred plants. So without further ado, a fellow comrade, a fellow Marine, Air Force, Marine veterans, we look out for each other because we all suffer from the PTSD, anxiety, depression, insomnia. We go through so many different things. So that's why I'm so honored to have this, being able to share this platform with Mr. Eric Carter. So without further ado, Mr. Eric Carter, this is all for you. I
Thank
think
you.
that's a bar.
I think you dropped your first bar of 2024. Congratulations. Man, that's gonna be like a whole album. Now that's gonna be the most sampled thing on rap albums in the future. You dropped a bar. Hey
Thank you, sir.
guys, she just gave me a warm welcome, a warm introduction. I'm excited that I get introduced by a doctor, MD, PhD, that's Harvard trained combat flight surgeon. I'm excited to be introduced by somebody at that level. She talked about herself being a retired Air Force veteran and talked about me being a Marine. And what she don't tell you is that she outranks me. So at the end of the at the end of the day, she kind of runs this show over here, even though it is my RSO thing. She still be running things. But listen, Dr. Reps, I appreciate you so much, and I'm grateful. I have nothing for gratitude, nothing but gratitude. And for those of you guys that are on here today, like Miko and Dominique and Lionheart and Robert Geis and Lilius and Tamara, listen, you guys may know it, but I've missed you guys a lot. It's been a couple of weeks since we had a chance to do the Rick Simpson oil barber. It's been a while since I've had a chance to actually talk about Rick Simpson oil. And for those of you guys that know me, you guys know that that's my baby. She said that I had 3 cannabis stores and 2 dispensaries, the vending machines across the country, like in Atlanta and in Dallas, Texas. I've been an advocate for a long time just because I've seen how well it helps people, and I come from a family that struggle with illnesses. I come from a family that struggled with a lot of different things, and maybe you do too. My dad died of cancer. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer one Halloween, and he was dead by New Year's Day, less than 90 days later. Had a high school sweetheart, almost fresh out of high school, die after struggling with breast cancer. I had a nephew who had to go out of this world in pieces with his cancer because they chopped his arm off at the lower level first, and then they went up, and then eventually it metastasized and everything else. And I look at this plant and I studied it. And when I studied it, the stuff that I found out turned my stomach upside down. I couldn't believe that the National Institute of Health, I couldn't believe that this plant has been studied since at least 1971, have been known since 1971. I couldn't believe that our federal government, whose role it is, whose job it is to protect us, lied to us and made something this potent, this powerful, and this important illegal. And so I made it my mission to be able to dedicate my time, my energy, and my effort into helping other people. I can't make any guarantees. I wish I could. I wish that I could. But I can tell you that if you're dealing with something chronic and you're not looking to Western medicine to try to save you, you don't want to go down that road. I think you'll find that what you're going to learn here is good information so that you can arm yourself and be prepared to make a decision for you and your family and your loved ones, and to share that information with other people. So without further ado, I'm going to start off by sharing my screen. Dr. Ramathi, I'm going to ask you to keep track of everything, make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. And if not, just slow me down and I'll correct it, I promise you. But let me start sharing my screen. In the next few minutes, guys, I'm going to share 2 videos with you. And I'm going to share the information that I understand about this plant with you. And then we're all going to discuss it at the end, and you can share any testimonies you have or any questions you guys might have. This is interactive. But during the presentation part, I'm going to ask that you, remain silent. I don't have anybody muted or anything like that. This is very informal, but it's good information. So let's start with that. So what you guys don't know may not know, some of you guys have been in the Zoom for a while, is that if you begin to look at Rick Simpson oil, if you begin to look at it, people are describing it as nature's chemotherapy. You see, in 1971, when they actually did that study, they said that people who had stage 4 cancer, who took nothing but a concentrated form of Rick Simpson oil, 20% of the time, they went from stage 4 cancer to stage nothing. Again, I'm not making any guarantees, but the information is out there in the public domain. You can research it and look it up for yourself. Rick Simpson was a pioneer, and he's the pioneer of the best kind, the kind that was willing to take all the arrows in the back so that those of us who are on the Zoom today wouldn't have to. So when I had the opportunity to name my product and to develop any other kind of product, because he was at the forefront of societal evolution when it comes to cannabis as medicine in this generation, I wanted to pay respect where respect was due to Rick Simpson. So my product is designed like his, using more modern, more current, up-to-date ways of doing it. Like, we don't have to use all of the chemicals that he used when he produced his. Mine is cryo extracted, so it's natural. You don't have to worry about any residual solvents being ingested in that case. And we're all done in these clean kitchens and these ISO certified kitchens, but nature's chemotherapy. He just happened to develop at a time that the internet was taking off. And so with that, let's hear from him.
Hey everyone, I'm Manar Mohawish for Mint Press News' Behind the Headline. Ronald Reagan's war on drugs demonized marijuana use in the 1980s, but that legacy is dying, and medicinal cannabis is now at the center of a much-needed national dialogue about health, healing, and drug law reform. 23 states currently have approved cannabis for medicinal use, yet some restrictive state laws make it even more difficult for patients with autoimmune diseases to access the most powerful form of this medicine, CBD-rich, pure cannabis oil. Now, despite the legalization movement's progress, the federal government continues to classify cannabis as a Schedule I drug, the same category as heroin and bath salts. Yet research shows that cannabinoids can help treat the effects of a number of illnesses ranging from epileptic seizures to Crohn's disease to nausea brought on by chemotherapy. And CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta and the Department of Health's own National Cancer Institute have both acknowledged that research shows cannabis can be effective in fighting cancer. Now, whether it is chemotherapy or CBD oil, no treatment will work the same way for every individual. But shouldn't the gravely ill have the freedom to choose what medicine they use? Considering the potential for cannabis to harbor medicinal powers that might work where pharmaceuticals have failed, why isn't the government doing more to investigate cannabis-based therapies? And why isn't Big Pharma rejoicing at the rediscovery of a plant that could alleviate so much suffering and death? Well, Rick Simpson, a medicinal cannabis activist and founder of Phoenix Tears, has become one of the world's most vocal advocates for repealing all medical marijuana laws and is at the center of several documentaries about cannabis. Simpson's organization, Phoenix Tears, is a service that actually gives away CBD oil. They offer extraction and production instructions to use to heal your body from minor cuts and burns to cancer. He argues that people should have the right to choose between man-made chemical pharmaceuticals and a plant that has been used throughout history to heal. Now, religious figures like Jesus Christ, Moses, and even Imam Ali Riza are all said to have harnessed the healing powers of cannabis. Take a look. So Rick Simpson, thank you so much for joining me today. My first question is directed towards the pharmaceutical industry specifically. What role do you think that the pharmaceutical industry plays in our understanding of the healing power of medicinal cannabis? I mean, you've actually tried to share your work and findings with the medical field, only to have the door shut in your face. Where is this opposition to this research coming from, and why?
Well, I mean, it's the big money interests that own the pharmaceutical industry and practically everything else is causing this. I mean, they're the ones that caused it right from the beginning. If you go and look at the Corbett report, episode 286, you'll find that it's called Rockefeller Medicine. If you watch that report, I think it'll explain why we have this horrible medical system we have today. And I look at the pharmaceutical industry as being nothing more than gangsters. I mean, they've been killing us with chemicals and poisons, radiation, chemotherapy, and all of their wonderful CAT scans and PET scans. These are all harmful, and they have caused the death of many people. So I just am truly disgusted, with the practice of medicine today. And I think it's just about time that doctors got back to reality and started using, natural substances like this, the extracts from the cannabis plant, and then they could at least follow their Hippocratic oath, which states, first do no harm, and I shall not administer poisons. So I think it's time that the doctors of today started following that sacred oath.
What does the research that has been conducted on cannabinoids show in its effect on everything from cancer to MS to epilepsy? And does this research prove what you had seen medical cannabis do to people around you? I know that you've healed yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the research that's available today is definitely proving everything I've been saying about this. But if you go on YouTube, you'll see hundreds and hundreds, of different testimonials up there from people who were suffering from all kinds of different conditions. But yet, the authorities ignore this. These people have medical records proving that they did have these illnesses. So where are these illnesses gone? And how were they cured? Could it be the extract that they said they used? It's just ridiculous the way this is being approached. And, I think, yeah, definitely there's more research to be done, but we need some legitimate research. There's so much of these research projects that were conducted were done so, were funded by the pharmaceutical industry, and they gave them the results that they wanted. It's just a pack of lies, for God's sakes. And, so it's got to the point that we have to wonder who we can put our trust in. It's a known fact since about 1975, the American government, after they shut down the Medical School of Virginia study, they've been withholding the simple truth about the healing powers, of these cannabinoids from the public for over 40 years now. And sadly, all of these researchers we have today, and there are many who I consider to be experts, but the problem is, they couldn't come forward and bring the public the truth. Because if they had tried to do so, they would have been ostracized and their careers would have been ruined. The big money is famous for doing that. But when it comes to someone like me, they couldn't threaten me by saying they were going to take my children because my children are all grown up. And the bottom line is, this oil saved my life. And I will never stop speaking the truth about, what I've seen it do. It literally is a cure-all. I used to mix different oils or different extracts from many different strains, like the heavy sedated indica varieties. That's what you really need to produce the medicine properly. And when you mix all of these different extracts, well, each strain, they all have different healing abilities. So when you mix the extracts from many strains, you're basically creating a cure-all. And I really think that there is no medicine on earth like this, because you can take this medicine to prevent disease, you can take the medicine to fight disease also. And our bodies are designed. We have an endocannabinoid system with CB1 and CB2 receptors. Our bodies are designed to take this medicine. So how dare anyone, stand up and tell us that we do not have the right? We have the natural right to heal ourselves, and we always have. And cannabis, if you look at the history of this plant, man's oldest known and safest medication, outlawed. Well, outlawed by who? And for what reason?
And you make a very good point. When we have stories like, many stories, but stories like Shauna Banda, who suffers from Crohn's disease, who now faces up to 30 years in prison because she used medical cannabis in a state that had not legalized it yet. She says that the medical marijuana saved her life. And it basically made her feel like a new person again. And we have veterans who suffer from PTSD who are committing suicide at 22 per day. Instead, they're prescribed a long list of neurotoxic and addictive prescription antidepressants. And other advocates are even calling, having access to these medicines as a human right now. What needs to be done to reform these cannabis laws across the United States?
These laws worldwide need to be repealed in every country. We all know that, all of these laws and regulations and acts, they were all put in place with the use of corruption. There's not a shred of truth in it. So why are we following these absurd laws? And there are many outfits out there, like Normal, who pretend to be, trying to get cannabis legalized. Well, Normal is made up, basically it's run by lawyers. But yet all these legal eagles, who've been fighting for this cause for 40 years now, are unable to get rid of a law which in reality does not even exist. So I don't really think they've been trying too hard, but they've been making a lot of money pretending they are. I just look at this, what goes on in the cannabis world. For the most part, it's just nothing but frauds. The drug dealers don't want to see this legalized because the price will go down. The government doesn't want to see this made legal because that'll expose the real truth about how they've been representing the people. The mega rich, they don't want it exposed because, there it is right in front of us. Who caused this? They did. I think it's just about time the human race grew up and started looking at things, for what they really are. We've all been misled and we've been simply scammed. Now, here's a natural medicine that we can all grow and produce ourselves. Now, I'm not saying we don't need doctors. I mean, if you have an injury, a broken leg, a car accident, then you need someone to help put you back together. That end of medicine is okay. But as far as the other end of medicine, the pill pushers and the oncologists, they're nothing but frauds. So, I really think that it's time for the public to stand up for their natural right, to grow and use this plant freely with no interference from the government in any way.
And let's say that, prohibition of hemp, were to be.
Hang on a second. I'll let them people in from. There we go. All right, let's finish that.
Abolished. Would this medicine be able to be produced in a much more safer manner than the homemade method, which you talk about a lot on your website and in your videos? And how would the wide availability of such a medicine, affect the price and access to medicine for low-income people?
Well, I honestly, I'm almost ashamed of the way I had to show the public how to create this medicine themselves. I used to use distilling equipment to evaporate the solvent off and collect it and then reuse it. You could sit there and smoke a cigarette right beside it. There was no fumes and no danger. But the trouble is, most people don't know how to run a still properly, and they don't understand this process, and it's really not that complicated, but most people don't have this knowledge. So I needed a simple way that I could show people how they could do it at home, using everyday household items, basically. So that's the reason I showed the public how to use the rice cooker and everything. And it is a very safe way of doing this if you simply follow the safety instructions. Right. So, that simple method now has saved a great number of lives all across this planet. So, I feel no shame in bringing it to the public in that way. But in truth, if you're going to produce this on a large scale, then there are much safer and better ways to do it, and I know many myself. So, but, what I'm fighting for basically is just everyone's right to have the freedom to grow and produce their own medicine if they so choose. But for those who are not in a position to do this, then definitely we need organizations or companies that will produce high quality oil at a decent cost and provide it to the people. So I think what we need right now more than anything else is some standards and quality control that we can follow. Because at present right now in the U.S., it's just a madhouse. They're running off in all directions, making all kinds of claims. Everybody and their dog is producing the Rick Simpson oil. Now, I only wish that were true, but, I get complaints from people every day who purchase oil from others, and in many cases they find that these extracts have little or no healing values at all. So people are using my name to scam the public, and this upsets me a great deal, but, I simply do not have the funding, to hire lawyers to chase these idiots around and and bring a halt to their activities. But but every time I do an interview like this, I always tell the public I have no connection with these people, so for God's sakes, think twice before you send them your hard-earned money, because there's a good chance what you receive will have little value.
Right. You make a very interesting point. You mentioned the scammers that have targeted you. But what about, the bigger picture? How can cannabis be exploited, by the big pharmaceutical industries or the agribusiness if made legal?
Well, the big picture in this is what I've always stated is if governments were any damn good, they would have giant government farms and production facilities, and they would be growing and producing this medicine and making it available to their own people on a donation basis. And that could be done because cannabis extracts are, in reality, if there's no laws preventing us from doing so, they're very cheap to produce. I've always told the public, you have to imagine like a field, 100 acres of corn. And then right next to it, an empty field with another 100 acres. Well, plant that empty field in hemp. Now, what's a pound of corn worth? So the way I look at it, since hemp is a farm crop, you should be able to buy a kilo of high-grade medicinal bud for $10. And we could do that, if they would just get out of our way and let us proceed with this properly. It's like I said, it's the laws that they put in place that have caused, this black market. and has caused the price of cannabis to go right through the roof. It's all caused by our governments, for God's sakes. So it's to me, it's just as plain as the nose in your face. And I hope people out there, will come to do a little research themselves, and they'll find out that everything I'm telling them is the absolute truth.
Well, thank you, Rick Simpson, for joining me today. That was definitely an interesting conversation, and I hope that more people will, look a little bit further and deeper and question more about these laws that are being passed. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, dear.
So if you guys don't know who Rick Simpson is, I think that was a pretty good introduction. The man is a fighter. He's an advocate. He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me. And yeah, I think he deserves to have his name on my product, the Rick Simpson oil. I always talk about this part because some of us on here are old enough. People like Barbara White, people like myself, people like Mama Canaglow. When we grew up, we didn't really maybe when I grew up, I guess, we did have CVS, we did have Rite Aid, we did have Walmart, but our parents didn't. What did our parents do? They still got sick, yes. They still needed help, didn't they? Well, they would just go see their pharmacist, and the pharmacist would prescribe for them things like cannabis. They would prescribe for them a tincture of cannabis. They would provide for them tablets made from cannabis. Whether it came from India or wherever the heck it came from, it was legitimately used as medicine for almost every major thing that you guys can think of. What is the video link? I'll make sure that I make that available too. Now, when you look at everything that we provide, I made my bottle to look like this stuff because this is what I saw growing up being raised by my grandparents. My grandfather, who lived to his mid-90s, had never been in the hospital till the week before he died. He only used natural medicines, and he only used that his whole life. It was up until the week that he died that ultimately that he had to succumb to medicines. He hated it. Do you know that cannabis was listed in the United States pharmacopoeia? This is the book. I can't call it a good book, but it was the book of medicine here in the United States until 1941. In 1942, they officially removed it. They took it away. In China, in India, in Egypt, it's been around for centuries. And they use extracts, and they use tablets, and they use solvents, and they used it for skin, they used it for hair, they used it for eyes, they used it for stomach upsets, they used it during pregnancies, they used it for pregnancies. They understood things that we are just learning today. And then when this guy, William Brooke O'Shaughnessy, he's the father of IV therapy. Many of us here today on this Zoom wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Brooke O'Shaughnessy, because many of us had to have IVs to get through a moment of crisis. Here's a guy that brought us so much stuff. And when he brought us cannabis, he should still be celebrated for bringing us cannabis. And instead, you won't find his name in very many books. They were using these medicines for things like neuropathy and tetanus and typhus, cholera, rabies, dysentery, alcoholism, opiate addiction. Poppy seeds were being imported into the United States, and people were getting addicted to these teas that were made with this opium, and they were using cannabis to get them off of it. I've had a few people who are in the drug space who try to help people wean themselves off of drugs, and they're looking at cannabis as a drug because they were misprogrammed too. They were taught incorrectly. But as you can see, and as you're going to learn by tuning into this Rick Simpson oil lecture series that me and Dr. Webster put on nearly every week, that effort, that energy can better be used someplace else. It could be better be used on educating people about the healing properties of this plant. This guy right here, Harold Anslanger, when they were deregulating alcohol, when somebody decided that alcohol should not be illegal anymore, he was facing not having a job anymore. So what did he do? He went out and found something else to vilify. He went out and vilified cannabis. Because it was new, he decided that might be a way that he was able to go out there and continue having a job. It had nothing to do with the science of the day. Even the American Medical Association at that time opposed it. They opposed the 1937 marijuana tax act. That was the beginning of the end of this. When you look at this healing plant, if you ever look at it with a microscope, I know some of you guys smoke weed. I'm going to be honest, some of you guys smoke weed. So when you look at those crystals and you start looking at the colors and you start feeling to see how sticky it is, you're looking at these trichomes. These trichomes have an abundance of things like THC, CBD, CBN, and everything else. That is the medicine. That's the stuff that heals. That's the stuff that treats. It also produces terpenes. These terpenes is what give it that smell and give it its aroma, give it its taste. And what it does is protect the plant from UV rays as well as a deterrent for animals. But what it does for us is that it mimics our body's own endocannabinoid system that we'll talk about here briefly. When you start to look at popular strains like Jack Herr and Skywalker and Headband, OG Kush and Bubba Kush and Super Lemon Haze and Durban Poison, which we sell inside the dispensary, by the way. Purple Urkel or White Widow, which is a really, really nice strain. I like White Widow. These terpenes, you also find them in ordinary plants and in ordinary vegetables. Can they outlaw and make illegal dill? Can they outlaw and make illegal black pepper and cotton? Can they outlaw and make illegal roses and citronella and sage and coriander and fruit rinds and lavender and mango and thyme? Can they do that? No, but they wish they could, because these terpenes that you find in concentrated forms inside the Rick Simpson oil have medicinal value. They're also found in other plants. But the medicinal value, in case you have asthma or you need a strong antiseptic naturally, it's good as a gastroprotective, anti-inflammatory product. Arthritis, autoimmune diseases. You start hearing me talk about things like rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and fibromyalgia and MS. Those are autoimmune diseases. You can find many that help outside of the cannabis plant. It just happens to be found in concentrated forms inside the cannabis plant. An antifungal, anti-proliferative, pain relief, anti-inflammatory, appetite suppression, antifungal, anti-carcinogenic. It dissolves gallstones. And yes, it's a mood enhancer. You know, some of us go through life, and every now and then we could use a mood enhancer. Why should we have to rely on alcohol that has known detrimental effects to our livers and our kidneys, and even has a predisposition to force people, not force, I guess that's the wrong way of saying it, it encourages people to think improperly that they may be prone to exceptional violence. Cannabis has not done that to anybody. Alcohol does, and it's legal. It's an antidepressant for many people. It's an anti-convulsant, anti-anxiety product for many people. Anti-carcinogenic is a sleep aid for many people. Or it can create alertness and memory retention. It can be uplifting. It can help with appetite suppression. It can elevate your mood. And yes, indeed, it smells like those things that you're normally familiar with. All of those things can be found outside the cannabis plant. And if it was up to our government, they would outlaw all of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an endocannabinoid system. So these CB1 and these CB2 receptors, they help your body and they help your immune system. They help your digestive system. They help your respiratory system, your circulatory system work at its optimal level. So when people ask me and they say, Eric, how can one plant help with things like cancers? How can it help with fibromyalgia? How can it help with menstrual and nausea? How can it help with arthritis and diabetes and HIV and AIDS and chronic pains? Cannabis contains at least 85 known cannabinoids, really closer to 130. And that's just for the body. For the mind, it helps with ADHD, depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD, which is what I personally use it for. Autism, epilepsy, Alzheimer's, and brain damage. When you look at what it does, it really should be labeled an essential nutrient. Much like vitamin D, vitamin C, much like protein and carbohydrates, it should be in your daily diet. And at one time, ladies and gentlemen, it used to be. You see, in this country, it was pretty much founded on hemp. It was pretty much founded on cannabis. Do you know without hemp, we wouldn't even have the United States of America? The sails that Christopher Columbus and his kinfolk rode over on here on the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, it was all made from hemp. Those dungarees the sailors wore was all made from hemp. The ropes that they used to drop anchor with was all made from hemp. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams were all hemp farmers. If you live in Hempstead, Kentucky, now you know why. If you live in Hemp Hill, something or other, now you know why. If you live in Hemp Hill, Texas, now you know why. Because these cities and these states were all growing hemp. And at one time in this country, you can grow your own hemp and pay your taxes with it. And some fool decided to make it illegal. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're doing is simply re-educating people who've been miseducated, and it actually works in our favor now because we can profit from it.
In the early 1990s, the endocannabinoid system was discovered by researchers studying bioactive compounds in the cannabis plant. The endocannabinoid system, or ECS, is a biological system that works throughout the body and plays diverse roles in regulating various aspects of health. For example, its actions on the central and peripheral nervous systems are numerous, such as helping to moderate stress responses and pain sensations, supporting mood and memory, and performing immunomodulatory functions like reducing inflammation, to name a few. The ECS is made up of signaling molecules called endogenous cannabinoids, or endocannabinoids. These lipid-derived molecules are released from cells in an on-demand basis. Endocannabinoids bind to cannabinoid receptors located throughout the body and are broken down by enzymes, leading to their inactivation. Several health conditions have been associated with disturbances or imbalances within the ECS. The ECS is important in maintaining balance within various aspects of human physiology, and a healthy lifestyle, as well as hemp oil extracts, can further support the balance of this system. Therefore, promoting the function and balance of the ECS has potential for clinical relevance. Certain plants, such as hemp, display a presence of plant-derived cannabinoids known as phytocannabinoids that can interact directly with receptors and inhibit the enzymes involved in breaking down the body's own endocannabinoids, thus making them bioavailable longer. Over 80 different phytocannabinoids have been identified, with cannabidiol, or CBD, being the best known. Although research has shown CBD has many potential applications, including neuroprotection and reducing symptoms of anxiety, nausea, and inflammation, among others, it is not the only phytocannabinoid. In the cannabis plant, other phytocannabinoids have specific and complementary properties and work together with other plant bioactive components, such as terpenes, which exert unique therapeutic effects. This is known as the entourage effect. There is an increasing body of research on the ECS and phytocannabinoids, with enormous opportunity for more discoveries related to human physiology.
So when I start talking about Rick Simpson oil, I'm really talking about a plant in its most concentrated form of THC, CBD, the terpenes, and all of its flavonoids. It's a concentrate. And those concentrates has all the medical properties of the whole plant. You see, many of you guys have gone to a gas station, or you might have seen it advertised on TV, or you might have walked inside of a Walmart or a Walgreens, and you saw CBD oil, or maybe you see a product that has CBN. Well, those are called isolates. They isolate one THC, one cannabinoid, from the other ones. Those are isolates. I use a distillate. And it's cryo-extracted. That means it's frozen and extracted and created to create the Rick Simpson oil. So it has no residual solvents, but it has all of the terpenes, it has all of the flavonoids, it has all the cannabinoids, and they all work synergistically like a team. So they can help your body do what your body needs to do to help alleviate pain, combat chemotherapy-induced nausea, manage chronic pain. Many of us have that. If you're in your mid-50s, 60s, you probably, potentially, occasionally wake up with new pain that you didn't go to sleep with. Addressing sleep disorders. Hemp-derived delta-9 THC has the same therapeutic effects as conventional THC as far as mood elevation, euphoria, relaxation, appetite stimulation, anti-nausea properties. My product, Rick Simpson oil, is primarily CBD based. Primarily CBD based. Very, very little THC in it because I need to be able to ship it out to all 50 states. Which, if I went above the federal legal threshold of THC, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I wouldn't be able to help as many people. So people say, well, Eric, I've got cancer. What do you think about Dr. Wright's formula? They'll say, Eric, I've got this going on. What do you think about me smoking a blunt? And I say, great, do that. But you need the whole plant. So add that to the Dr. Wright's formula that we have. Add my product to the Dr. Wright's formula, and you're going to get much more relief because it works better together than it does independently. Now, if you're trying to find a similar product, they're out there. Rick Simpson mentioned that himself. You can go to hempmedspx.com, and you can buy 4,500 milligrams of a concentrated cannabis oil that they call RSHO. They put that in there because they were curious as to whether or not they can get in trouble for it. So instead of calling it RSO, they called it RSHO, which stands for Real Scientific Hemp Oil, but it's a high CBD concentrate for full spectrum hemp extract, exactly like what we sell over here, exactly like what I'm discussing with all of you guys over here, 4,500 milligrams for $309. And then you can go to Candaway and get your gold premium hemp oil, right? It's completely the same stuff that we have over here, 3,600 milligrams for $286. Or you can just say, you know what, I'm glad that I know someone who's a VDO in this company where I can get 17,400 milligrams, 5 times as much as the other company, for only $199. You see, our goal, thank you, C. Starks, if you can hold it up. If you guys could see C. Starks, he's got a box of it in his hand showing everybody. Dr. Webster is now showing her box, having it in her hand. Barbara White is showing hers, having it in her hand. Many of you guys are using this on a regular and consistent basis. You begin to find relief off of it. I want you guys to know something because I want to be transparent. I did not, and Shirley Cross has her box. I deliberately decided not to nano this product. I deliberately decided not to create a water-soluble version of this product yet because I wanted to avoid what we call market confusion. There's people out there who have healed themselves of cancer using a Rick Simpson oil product. And if they see it any other way than what they used to treat themselves, they would tell you that it's inauthentic. They would tell you that it doesn't have the same healing properties. So in order to avoid the market confusion, I created the same product that they were used to, and I just so happened to reduce the price. When you look at 17,400 milligrams, when you look at 30 milliliters of Rick Simpson oil, it takes about an ounce of cannabis to create it. And for those of you guys on the street, you know you're paying $160, $180, $240 for an ounce of cannabis. And to get a whole ounce of cannabis in its most concentrated form for $200 is a really, really good deal. Done for you. And I think Rick Simpson will be proud of our product. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to any one of you guys who have any questions for myself or Dr. Webster. Dr. Webster, I've actually got a question for you if you don't mind me asking. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. He was talking about the medical profession and how they approach cannabis and natural healing. Can you talk about that a little bit from your perspective and from your experience?
Sure, sure. And I want to just give it back up to you, Mr. Eric Carr, for a phenomenal presentation. I learned so much from you each and every time I listen to your lectures. So thank you so much for presenting that for our community. So within the medical community, guys, I actually have my MD and my PhD, Harvard trained, and cannabis wasn't talked about. And it was something that was actually frowned upon. It's something you couldn't even bring up in discussion. And any doctor like myself, because I grew up in a Caribbean household, so we used to growing our own herbs, making your bush teas, your concoctions, your tonics, everything to cure, ourselves, using natural healing plants that's right in your backyard. That's what I was used to. not knowing that that wasn't a norm for everybody else in America, right? So I remember incorporating a lot of these things into my medical practice, and I would use alternatives outside of big pharma. So if somebody was dealing with hypertension, or somebody was dealing with a high cholesterol, or somebody was dealing with depression, I would tell them to utilize certain herbs first. And if we couldn't control it that way, then we using, big pharma, using that as the last medicine of choice, and use a holistic medicine as a first, medicine of choice. But I was actually told by my colleagues, like, what are you doing? And I had one doctor even call it voodoo medicine. I was dumbfounded by that. And they say, like, it wasn't real. It wasn't real medicine. And I could even be doing a disservice to my patients by doing this. So in the medical community, it's actually, even though you see a certain change, you're seeing people are becoming more and more open to it. I think people are starting wanting to listen to it, but still, it's still a huge stigma in the medical community. And there's even people that I spoke to who even grew up with it, who has a stigma shifted to it because of the criminalization that was put against it. Even within the church community, you see people torn, and even a lady was saying that, Jesus and Moses, people in the biblical times, in Egyptians, that they've shown it that this was a part of their rituals. This was what they used for healing. And it's just so sad that how there's some serious brainwashing to us. After they say after 1942, they pulled it out of the pharmacopoeia, because this was the primary medication that doctors were actually prescribing. In the AMA, an American Medical Association, they fought from 1937 to 1942 as much as they could for those 5 years to keep it as a primary medication, but they banned it. And now we try to get back almost like, over 80 years later, try to bring it back as the primary. So it's very, very unfortunate that this has happened. But now it's why we're trying to educate as much people as possible, knowing that this product actually works in so many different ways. And I use this myself. I wouldn't recommend something that I wouldn't use on myself and my family members and people in my community. And a lot of people do ask, like, how do you even take something like this? Because you can see it's very thick, and it's sometimes could be very hard to pull. So I just got a new batch myself, and to really get this started, I always tell people to kind of pull it back first to kind of get the plunger kind of going, and then you push forward. And then the amount you need is, I always think about a dime size, an inch. You go from your tip to your, the first crease in your finger. And then, or people like to put it on wax paper. So you can put it in the freezer, and you can also put like 1 ml. Now it's hard sometimes to see the lines, but if you try to put it in the light, that there are lines in between that gives you 1 ml increments. And you could take this half an ml once a day. You could take 1 ml a day, and sometimes I know people take 3 ml. So take 1 ml 3 times a day. And you could take it in the morning. You could take it at night. You could put it on a cracker. You could put it on. People put it on pecans. People put it on toast. People actually put it in tea and coffee. They actually heat that in tea and coffee doesn't actually degrade it. So you could also put it in a cup of warm water to kind of loosen it up for you as well. And then also when you store it, you also want to pull the plunger back too, because sometimes with gravity, it may push out. You don't want to waste it, right? This is precious medicine here. And I like to actually store in a box upright, so that way it can also have gravity help it to keep it up from pushing out. And when you do take it, sometimes people could put it, against their gums. People have gingivitis, actually helps with that. You can put it under your tongue and try to absorb, keep it in your mouth at least 90 seconds to 2 minutes, and then you could swallow. And I personally, I use it for so many different ailments. Like I was telling you guys earlier, that I was actually on 18 different medications prior to switching totally to holistic medicine. And I use this for insomnia. I use this for PTSD. I use this for pain, chronic pain, and inflammation. I used to get, I would say, like my nerves burnt, RFAs, radio frequency ablations from C3 to C7, L3 to S1. And I was getting epidurals and injections. And thank God I haven't had any surgery in over 18 months. And I'm getting those every 6 to 8 months, honestly. I would get different injections every 6 to 8 weeks. I would get Botox every 8 to 10 weeks. I was getting so many different needles, just so that I could literally roll out of the bed and function throughout the day. So like I live by this stuff. And it's something that I also utilize for my mom, like Dr. Wright's tinctures he was talking about. So she could wean off of the morphine because she was on high doses of morphine that put her in a coma, honestly. And she didn't want to spend her last days asleep. She wanted to spend her last days on this earth with her family that she loved. And I was able to utilize these products for her too while she was transitioning. And so that was very important to me as her daughter, right? Because because as a doctor, I feel like I was hopeless to helping her. But as a daughter, I was helping her to fulfill her final days on this earth. So if you guys have any questions, I see Miss Barbara Wright raising her hand, but at this time, we'd like people sharing their testimonies. If people have any questions about the products, how they can utilize it, we're here for you guys. So please raise your hand and we'll call on you. So
Well,
at this
let
time,
me ask you first, Dr. Webster.
yes.
Is this something that you would recommend to people who are only suffering from serious conditions, and who would you recommend this for?
So I love this product for prevention, and then it also help people with certain conditions, right? And I like to utilize this for people who are on medications, and they could utilize this to help wean them off certain medications. So I know plenty of people that have family history of cancer who need to utilize these products. People have a family history of Alzheimer's, dementia. People who are suffering from MS, lupus, autoimmune diseases. People who have autism. People who have ADHD. People who have a mental, physical, emotional, things going on because you say life be lifing, right? So this is a product that for maintenance, you can use a half ml a day. And then for serious chronic or even terminal conditions, I would say use the 3 mLs of this with addition to our product like a Dr. Wright or the gummies that has a THC component. And then the THC with the CBD, help cross over the blood-brain barrier. And then that way that works synergistically together. And by utilizing product, they mention the whole entourage effect, right? Because that has the whole plant. So all the cannabinoids, the flavonoids, the terpenes, the chlorophylls, everything you need for the body have its the components that it needs to have to heal itself. It's all in this one syringe. So it's phenomenal for prevention and for help of people who have conditions they're suffering from right now.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you called for a few people to give testimonies or ask their questions, and I see a few hands are up.
Yes. So we ask our very own Miss Nurse Barbara White, if you could unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. I have, this is just extraordinary. I love it every week. This is unbelievable to me. I thank you, Dr. Ramathea Webster. I thank you, Easy, for allowing people to educate, for educating people and allowing them to open their minds to find out that, plant-based medicine is the answer. I did nursing for 36 years and I worked in ICU trauma. And during that time, I actually saw many patients come into the ICU who had coming in for a critical problem, an issue. And then we find out the doctors tell us to go and tell the family to bring in the medications. So we asked them to bring it in. People brought in bags of medicine that they had been taking for 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And what was happening was they were coming up with liver problems, kidney problems, heart problems, seizures. So I myself had become holistic and alternative medicine because of this. I did not want to take medicine. And I have, like Dr. Ramathea, I have a back issue. I have 8 herniated discs, 5 in my neck and 3 in my lower back. And I've suffered for that for many, many years. And I take it preventively, okay? Because my father passed of cancer at 39 years old, and his family has cancer on that side of the family. On my mother's side of the family, we have stroke and high blood pressure. My blood pressure is good. My mom is 90. A lot of you have met her. She is 90 years old. She takes the RSO every day, and she takes the Dr. Wright. We have the Dr. Wright and the RSO. She takes the Dr. Wright at night so she can sleep, and the RSO during the day. So if a 90-year-old can take it, that tells you right there. It's not making her high, it's making her healthy. She feels better. We go to aqua aerobics every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the morning. And she's got balance. The people in the pool are just can't believe her. They can't believe the strength she has, the how she walks. She's stable. She's not shuffling. Okay. I feel stronger. I sleep well. I tossed and turned and tossed and turned, had pillows on the bed, everything. I'm not going through as much of that anymore. And I do have issues. I know that they're there, but this has subdued it where I'm not having it on a constant basis. I take the Dr. Wright as well. But I tell you, I was shocked. I was shocked when I found out about the endocannabinoid system because I've been in nursing and I said, well, shoot, I worked ICU, I worked ER. How do I not know about a system that's a master system? Understand that a master system that regulates all the other systems that all of you probably know about. You know about the muscular and the nervous and the endocrine and all of these systems, but you don't know about the endocannabinoid system. And medical professionals don't know about the endocannabinoid system. And why? Money. We're the residual income for pharmacies, for the pharmaceutical industry. The doctors give you a diagnosis one time, and then you take medications for the rest of your life. And after years and years and years, you wind up with some type of side effect. Then the lawyers make money because now they're going to compensate you for the side effects that you got from the medications. And then none of the doctors collaborate a lot of the times so that they can not have medications antagonizing each other and having enhanced effects or depleting the effect of something. It's incredible what we have here in our hands. Everything started from plants. Plant-based medicine is the answer because God created this body, created that system to make this body run optimally. And he had a plant on the ground that works with that system to assist it. So I can't, I've seen so many researchers on plants that it's incredible to see that we can have cigarettes on a shelf with a warning on the side of them telling us it's illegal, with a warning, knowing that it's going to kill you, knowing that it's going to give you lung problems. And then we have a plant that's medicinal, and especially this RSO, the whole entire plant that's working on every system in the body to keep you healthy. It's something you really, really have to look at and get on this movement with us, because we have joined hands together to create a movement to shift the stigma from getting high to getting healthy, and you can feel good while you're doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So now you've heard from a doctor, you've heard from and a nurse. Who else we go hear from tonight, Dr. Webster?
Yes, let's see. I'm actually replying to someone in the chat, but I see Miss Elise Clemens, if I'm pronouncing that correct.
Yes.
You could please unmute yourself. Awesome. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing this evening?
Mute. Okay.
There you go.
Good. Thank you so much. I just wanted to tell you both, this was a wonderful presentation. I've learned a lot from it. And Dr. Webster, you answered a lot of my questions. I've received a diagnosis of autoimmune disorder. So I'm in chronic pain and inflammation, and it varies per day, but I heard a lot. So I was interested in knowing how much I could take, how often, the dosage amount. So you answered a lot of that for me, and I thank you. Easy, you had talked about you mentioned the word nano, that the product is not nano. And I know a lot of medicines today, they emphasize that they're using nanotechnology. And I think you also said not water soluble.
Correct.
So I guess my question is, where in the body does the absorption take place? In the
That,
small.
that is an excellent question. And I don't think that most people you talk to will have an answer for that.
Oh,
The reason why my product is not nano and is not water soluble is because if it's water soluble, it gets absorbed quickly into your body and it gets flushed out your system quickly.
okay.
This needs to be stored in your system. The ideal way to take cannabis oil is with some fatty foods, fatty products, because it's actually fat soluble. You want it to be stored in the fat, and you want it to be released long over time. And what happens is the difference between like my product and Dr. Wright. If you have inflammation right now, you're hurting right now. The water solubility and the nano properties of the Dr. Wright formula will give you quick release, give you quick relief from that. My product is designed to be completely stored in your body and used and absorbed as the body needs it throughout the day and throughout the year. So you're going to find out the longer you take it, the better you're going to feel. And it works best on those people that really have those serious issues. If you've got cancer, according to the NIH, it helps fight cancer 3 ways. It helps to, one, reduce the ability of the cancer cells to metastasize, to move from one part of the body to the other. Hang on.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
It don't stop sneezes, but it's good on everything else. So it helps to prevent it from metastasizing, number one. Number two, it takes cancer cells and make the cell membranes tend to erupt so that all its genetic material pours out so it can't replicate. And then the third thing it tends to do with cancer is reduces the speed at which it replicates. So instead of it creating new cells quickly, it's going slow enough that it can be treated, that you might even be able to live with it if you have to, and also give whatever additional resources to the body that it needs to help be able to fight it back. One of the biggest issues you find with people with cancer, they take chemotherapy or radiation, it destroys their immune system. So that when cancer returns, the body's unable to fight back. This product doesn't do that to the immune system. It works with the immune system. And it needs to be stored inside your fat cells, inside the body.
Okay. Okay. So it's already fat soluble. And so
Correct.
you don't need to eat additional fat with it when you
Correct.
take it.
Not with my
Okay.
product, not with my product because it comes in the natural cannabis oil with it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So it's got more CBD than THC, but
Correct.
you still feel good though.
Absolutely. Matter of
Okay.
fact, my biggest
I
issue,
want to feel good. I want to smile a lot more.
my biggest issue is anger, it's stress, and it's anxiety. And when I take it, I promise you, I'm as cool as a cucumber.
Okay.
Okay, I'm as cool as the backside of a pillow, like my buddy would say. I'm as cool as the backside of a pillow. It puts me in a pretty good mood without being mind altering for me.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are great questions. Who else we got, Dr. Wester?
We have Miss Erica, the wellness coach
Oh
from
yes,
Mexico, out of Mexico.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
I am well, and how are you?
Good.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you guys. This is an amazing presentation. Thank you, Hollis. Hollis is a guest of mine. I do have Polly on here as well. She's a guest. Marquis is on. She's a guest. So, Polly, do you have any questions before I say anything?
So it's probably have her hand raised. We will have to unmute her.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if she knows how to do that.
Let's see. Can we find her?
But you could go ahead, Erica, if you had any questions or comments while we find her.
This is Polly.
Hey,
Oh,
Paul.
I was wondering, how does it work with autism? What has been your experience with autism in children? I have a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old grandchild that I want to possibly use
It works very
the
good.
CBD oil for.
It works very, very good on autistic people. It's not going to make them more sociable. They're still going to be antisocial in many cases, but they're going to be far more manageable. They're going to have less fits, less eruptions of fits. They're going to be more calm. They're not going to be as stressed. I know that Nick Garrett's son is non-functioning, non-verbal autistic, and his son has a compulsion to eat every piece of food that's in front of him. But with cannabis products, it relaxes him, so he's no longer doing it. A lot of people, Dr. Repster just mentioned it, CBD, THCV are great for weight loss. Part of the reason why a lot of us are overweight is because we get anxious and we eat, or we get bored and we eat.
Yeah.
Lose that anxiety, that stress away from you that makes you want to overeat. So people actually lose weight. But as far as autistic children go, it's healthy for children. I'm going to say that with this caveat that I'm not a doctor, I just play one on Zoom. But I have used it over the last 20 years because I was doing this prior to the 2018 Farm Bill. I've used it on families with autistic children with tremendous success. And even today, they're still using cannabis products in their children.
And just to add to that, we have, and I've personally seen from young children, I've probably seen as young as 6, but I know there's studies of people even at age 2 to 4, to adults as well with autism. So and children, people even with their breastfeeding. So you see people during pregnancy, during breastfeeding, infants, from 0 to 102, right? You see the full spectrum. So like everything for children, we do recommend CBD. We would not recommend the THC component, but CBD is very helpful for children during their developmental years. And also, Mr. Eric Carter, one of the questions came up about the highest milligrams per indica gummies available, because a lot of times people always wonder about the gummies and then how that works. So you could please explain that, how the indica versus sativa, but I'll let you do that.
So when it comes to our products, unlike what you find inside of a medical dispensary, our products are not strain specific. So hang on a second, who was that?
I think that's, oh, there you go.
So we use isolates for most of our gummies. That's why they taste delicious. They don't have the terpenes in it. Now, THC, CBD, I don't know why I feel like the need to sneeze. I know I'm going to. Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you. I said that in advance. So THC, CBD, CBG, CBN, those cannabinoids, that's the medicine. What makes a product an indica or makes a product a sativa is really those terpenes that's affiliated with it. Some give you energy, some give you more, make you want to rest. Some make you less anxious, some makes you want to eat more. And since our products that we have on the gummy side, on our edible side, are delicious, they don't have those terpenes in it. Why? Because terpenes are going to taste like the plants they're associated with. Maybe they're going to taste like lavender. Maybe they're going to taste like lemons and limes. Maybe they're going to taste like pine cones. So you don't want to create a gummy if you're trying to have a delicious feel. Mangoes, absolutely. Not if you're trying to have a delicious gummy, you don't want to use the terpenes. So as far as whether or not our gummies are indica dominant or sativa dominant, they're neither, because they don't have the terpenes associated with it. But they do go as high as 150 milligrams worth of THC. So you can enjoy the effect of the pure product. Great question. Who else we got?
Yes, we have, unless Miss Erica has something else she wanted to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't want to come on camera.
You just want to come on and say sorry, huh?
Oh my God. I coming on without makeup and all that good stuff. But I had to say
You're
this because
beautiful. Stop it.
thank you. In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I would love for us to do something together, all three of us, okay? Mm-hmm. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in 2019, October. So this makes it 5 years. It was October 18th, to be exact. When I got my diagnosis, it had already metastasized to my lymph nodes. When I got, this was right before COVID, and it's actually my right breast, and I couldn't even raise my right arm. I mean, I couldn't close it. It was so inflamed. No doctor would see me. Everything shut down because of COVID. And I was in a tremendous amount of pain. A friend of mine recommended CBD. Now, I'm from the Caribbean as well. Big up to you, Dr. Ramathea. So I grew up with herbs, so I completely understand where you're coming from. And it was the scariest thing because I had a daughter in high school, about to graduate. She was in 12th grade, so she was going through major anxiety attacks after finding this out. A friend of mine in Chicago, grateful to her forever, told me about cannabis. And though I, even though I'm from the Caribbean and we all kind of used to smoking our ganja, whatever, I bought into the whole thing that it's a drug, it's not good, whatever. Well, I was desperate because I had no choice. And I actually ordered it because of my friend telling me it helped her with her knee. She was supposed to have knee replacement. She was taking steroid shots. And I knew how she was having problems walking in pain. She says, Erica, I'm no longer in pain and I can walk no problem. I'm like, I ordered it immediately. So after going back to my doctor, I mean, she thought she saw a ghost because she didn't even expect me to be around, right? It's been 5 years. Because she's like, what the heck is going on? I've done no chemo, I've done no radiation, I've done absolutely no surgery. I'm not telling anybody to do what I did because it takes a tremendous amount of not only faith, but willpower and have a strong constitution to go against what the doctors are telling you. But I choose to embrace holistic. I lost 3 friends to cancer, all going the traditional route. They're all gone and out of here. Okay, I know people who've done the traditional route and they're still here. All I'm saying to you guys is this is why I'm so passionate. And I have to tell you, Dr. Eric Carter, I want to call you Doctor. You both of you, thank you all so much. And thank you so much for bringing this amazing on, because that's what got me, because I'm a wellness coach, became a wellness coach because of my experience. But is this Rick Simpson oil that really attracted me personally to this company, because I wanted to help more people. I have a lot of people who know my story, who reach out to me about who have cancer. And so I thought I'm going to be able to help so much more people with the Rick Simpson oil, because I was not aware of this. So that's what I wanted to say. I don't want to talk too long, but thank you guys for giving me the space. And Marquis is here to have another guest from Mexico. She's on. And Marquis, I don't know. I know they're waiting for their mushroom products here. But Marquis, if you have any question, please ask. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Where is Marquis at? Okay. Marquis, if you're out here, you want to raise your hand, you can. Let's go to Axel Otero out of Puerto Rico. Can we do that, Dr. R?
Yes, I was just about to unmute him. Go, Axel. How are you doing this evening?
Hi, guys. It was a real pleasure meeting you guys here in San Juan. Dr. Webster, Eric Carter, you guys are just phenomenal people. Absolutely love it. Thank you for the invite tonight, the call. I've got 2 people in mind that are really close and dear to my heart. One's my father, and another one is my sweetie. She has Parkinson's disease. So how would you, what products would you give her in order for her to start on a protocol? Would you start her with the Rick Simpson oil, with Easy, Uncle Easy, Dr. Right, RSO? Tell me. Uncle Easy.
Yeah, Uncle Easy. I would definitely say start here with Parkinson's. I have a neighbor down the street that suffers from Parkinson's. And then you could YouTube it. And then we have actually done videos on our previous calls to show how effective it is. And you see people come out of their tremors within minutes of ingesting RSO. So it's great on most neurodegenerative disorders. So I think you start there.
So it's RSO and Uncle Easy, but the 2 of them.
And then you can also
Uncle
yes,
Easy
you could use a combination.
Is RSO. Uncle is RSO.
Yeah.
Uncle Easy
Dr.
is
Rice
RSO.
tinctures. Dr. Rice tinctures. I think you're getting confused. Dr. Rice tinctures, and then it's Uncle Easy's tonics and tinctures RSO.
Let me share this with, it's only 2 minutes and 33 seconds. And then we'll go back to everyone else too, right?
Yes.
Hi, Larry. How are you? Come in. Come in. Good to see you. How you feeling? It's been a bit of a rough week, really. And the best way to take it is put it under your tongue and rub it in your cheek. Don't do too much. You're going to be asleep all afternoon. You know what you should do? No. Don't try to communicate. Just relax. See what happens.
We know from animal experiments that the endogenous cannabinoid system is very important in regulating motor activity, that very type of activity that is impaired in Parkinson's disease. From animal experiments, we also know that boosting certain branches of the endocannabinoid system is helpful in relieving symptoms of Parkinson's. Finally, from anecdotal information, we know that certain patients who smoke marijuana experience relief of their symptoms.
I think you're calmed down. So quickly. Isn't that amazing?
He used just a single drop, and his hands afterwards were rock steady, and the dyskinesia left.
It was coming back. It works most of the time. In fact, it's... Did you guys eat lunch?
Are you hungry now?
But I am. Yeah. Actually,
A person like me could really use marijuana. It makes me pretty angry that I can't get it in my home state.
The number one frustration that I have is knowing that there is this untapped potential that comes from what marijuana is teaching us to generate new medicines, and being stuck because of financial issues or political issues. That is extremely frustrating.
We now know that medical marijuana controls dyskinesia, and yet it's not available to us.
Just wanted to share that. That way you don't have to just rely on what I say or just rely on what Dr. Webster says. You can research and Google all this stuff. It is absolutely amazing, brother.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then my father suffers from bad hip, and he's 88 years old. They have him on Percocets. I'm sorry, not Percocets. What's that other one?
Vicodin or
no, actually it is
morphine.
Percocets. I'm sorry, it is Percocets.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
So products in general. So I always tell people cannabis in itself has all the products you really need, right, to heal yourself. So it's pretty much what mode of action you want to take it in, what helps you the most. So you can take it as an edible, you can take it as a bakeable, you can take it as a topical, you can take it as a tincture, a gummy, it could be a tart, suppository, whatever works best for you. So when people have hip, like for me, myself, I use a combination of the Rick Simpson oil and the pain balm. So I would take this, you can take this in the morning and take it at night, and I take the pain balm right coming out of the shower. So your pores are open, and put that in it and massage it in, so the heat helps with the absorption. And if it's the middle of the day, also you can use a warm cloth to also use that to warm up, open up your pores and massage that in and rub that in for the friction. So I like to use the outside inside effect to help with pain. And you can use any of the products. You can use the Support RSO because it's at the highest milligrams you could get of CBD on the market within the United States. Or you could use the gummies, you could use the Dr. Rice tinctures. You could use anything that you could smoke it, whatever you feel like is the best mode for you to utilize. People get relief in all those different modes. And it's just pretty much like starting low and titrating up to what's effective for the person.
So for him, would it be the same thing, Dr. Wright and Uncle Easy? Those two products?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Very effective.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, you guys. This has been an absolute amazing call. It's opened my mind.
Thank you. Welcome to the family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Ram,
Awesome.
we got 4 more people. I guess 3 because I think Erica has spoken already. I don't think she's put her hand down yet.
Yes. So we have video Junior Hauser. If you can unmute yourself, sir, and have a question on to share testimony. There you go.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yes, I can. It's good to see you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was gonna say, I always got to give you and Uncle Easy your props for your service. So thank you for that. Off top, I have so many things to add, so I'm gonna try to be real, super quick. The Parkinson's thing, I wasn't planning on talking about that, but me and a friend of mine all the way back in like 2008, he came to me and he told me, I have a friend who has a father who is now in hospice, gonna die. We need to take our product and make this stuff called oil. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And we made it the super ghetto way, like put it in a skillet and cooked it. But the person was only given like 4 days to live. And we kept doing it, and he lived for like 3 more months.
Wow.
And he was very comfortable. And that is why I know that this is real, because I had no idea what I was doing. Like, cook it in a skillet, take some alcohol from the store out of the freezer and put it together and freeze it with biotin and, like, I don't know, all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyways, I know it works. The other reason why I wanted to jump on here is because I wanted to show the difference. Maybe some people need a visual. So this is Uncle Easy's. When they say Uncle Easy's RSO, it comes in this package. When they say Dr. Wright's, it's a tincture, and it comes in a bottle, and it's a dropper. So you can't get them confused. Uncle Easy's and Dr. Wright's, those are 2 completely different. The last thing is, Dr. Ramathia, I know you answered a question from Marie in Columbus. That's actually my children's mother. I said that the professional way because that's how you should say it. And she listed off all kinds of stuff that she deals with. And you did give her an answer in the chat. However, she does have a follow-up, and it's going to sound weird for me to say, but I figure we're all adults here, so I can say this.
Sure.
I'm wondering during my menses, with how extreme the pain gets, is that methodology better instead of ingestion? And that methodology was referring to, when y'all talked before, I told her about it, diluting the RSO with alcohol and rubbing it on the belly button. Or is there an herb I can add with my tea every day with the RSO that may help touch the pain? Because she takes her RSO by putting it in hot tea. I was thinking of something like blue lotus flower. But another thing that you need to know before you answer, we don't sell it, but she also does psilocybin shrooms. She does take the breaks like you suggested, like take the psilocybin for 3 days and take 2 days off.
So one reason I was wondering, why does she take a break during her menses, especially if her pain is so strong during that period of time?
So the reason I lowered my hand and got confused, the reason why she takes the break is because she says the pain is so severe that she doesn't want to waste the RSO by not getting any pain relief during that time while that's going on. She's saying the RSO doesn't help her with the pain because the pain is too much during that time.
I see. I was wondering why she was taking a break, because you don't have to take a break with RSO. And do you know how much of it she's taking when she is taking it? Is she taking it to half, 1 ml? Because she could increase it.
When she did the belly button thing, she said it made her nauseous. So I told her drop down to 0.5 mLs. But she was taking 1 ml because of all the things that were in that
she's a lot going on.
message. Yeah. I don't even know what all that stuff is, you know. But she said she didn't want to waste the RSO, but she also said she noticed after that time of month where she took the break, when she started taking it again is when she noticed everything that it had been helping with, because she felt like it had to get built back up in her system. And that's why she's asking the question, is because she doesn't want to waste it, but she knows it needs to stay in her system. So is there something else she can do?
Can I add something? I know I know that I'm not a female, so it's going to sound kind of weird coming from me, right? But I have helped a lot of people. One thing I might recommend for her is that she takes the pain balm. She rubs it around her belly button during that time. And I wouldn't encourage her to stop the RSO, because she then it's more of it to replace it.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So
because it has to build back up in her system.
Yeah.
And she's not wasting it. I don't want her to think that she's wasting it. And then, and if she want to utilize, especially for pain, she can add on other products on top of it, because you can't OD on these things. It's natural. So if she wants to add the Dr. Rice tincture to it, she want to add a Snoop Dogg gummy to it, she want to use the pain balm on top of it, she want to use shroom flower, she could do different combinations, but that's case by case. Don't do all of it at once. And then also she could go to 2 mLs, even 3 mLs. It depends on her functionality, because she has so many different chronic conditions that even increasing it, she'll probably see I will say a better response to her other conditions as well. Because people who have chronic conditions, I say you start with 0.5 ml just to see how your body responds, but to titrate up until you see your symptoms actually start declining to going away. So 1 ml may not be enough for her if she's only taking 1 ml. But one question I did have for her too, she said she was diluting it with alcohol and putting it in her belly button. Was she using 0.5 ml of that in her belly button? Or she was just massaging some of it on her belly button?
No, I told her she should do that after one of these, a Wednesday night lecture, because but before I told her that, she just took 1 ml of it and rubbed it in her belly button, and she said it made her feel nauseous.
Yes, that was probably too much. I was like, you don't want to put 1 ml. I was wondering how much of that was she put in her belly button. So no, you wouldn't do that. I want her to ingest the 1 ml, not to put in her belly button. And she could put some, just to rub it there, but not put high dosage of it right there. I would say take it in internally. You can use a little bit and use the pain balm in there around the ovaries, the lower abdomen as well. Use it there, and you could use a gummy as well on top of that. So with the different combinations, I'm sure Eric, was there anything else you want to add to that?
Nope, I agree 100%.
I do have shroom flower. I do have Snoop gummies. So, and I do have pain balm. So I can let her try and figure out what works for her. Thank you.
Right.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Have her journal it so she can keep track of what's.
Yes.
I told her about the journal, and we stayed on the journal every day until that time of month, and then the journal fell off, and then I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, we could keep going, but
start again.
We missed.
Just start again."
Yes, let's start again. Just every day from now, starting from tonight, this journal and the different concoctions she's putting together, because only she will know what's working for her body. And you're not going to remember every iteration you change. So if you journal it, you can see what works, what doesn't work, and what milligrams work, and take it from there. But you can always get back on a call and ask us again. Looking forward to hear more next week.
There you go, Marie. You better journal.
That's right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Always, every week. Yes. And we have Miss Christina Montez. You could please unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. I'm calling from, logging in from Houston, Texas, and I got a text message from my best friend who does dispensary. His name, he should be on the call, I think, Alvin Wilson. And basically, I'm on here to see what y'all would what this was all about. I kind of caught in the last 30 minutes of what y'all talking about. So I suffer from fibromyalgia, psoriatic arthritis, and rheumatoid arthritis. And I just got tired of taking medication. So I haven't been on anything since January of this year. So my best friend, I feel like it's not helping. They just push me to another drug, push me to another drug. And I feel like I'm a guinea pig. So basically, I just been trying to deal with it myself, and it's been very hard. So sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
So I just been in pain every day, and it's hard for me just to deal with it and getting up every morning. My body aches, and I just don't know what to turn to, and I'm tired of taking the medication. So I'm just here to see how y'all could help me, what y'all recommend, how much to take, and just things like that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Christina, for sharing this with us and being transparent with us. I myself suffer from fibromyalgia. I myself suffer from arthritis. I have nerve damage. I have compressed nerves, compressed discs. I was a combat flight surgeon, 6 tours downrange. I got beat up pretty bad as a 100% disabled veteran, and I was on a lot of different medications, and especially like Cymbalta, right? They throw it at you, right?
Yes.
So, and that's a very hard drug to be on, and it took me months to wean off of that medication. It's horrible. So I understand the struggle.
Yes.
And so have you tried this? Have you ever heard of this? Have you before? I would highly for you recommend you start this. Like, I live on this stuff. Also, we have another product with the Golden Gift turmeric. Big proponent of turmeric because it's anti-inflammatory, and it's nano-emulsified turmeric with the CBD, CBN in it. That's phenomenal. So with the pain balm, the turmeric, Uncle Easy's tonics and tinctures, and even Dr. Wright's. So you could literally use those 4 and pick a gummy, honestly. And depending on what level of pain, because sometimes you have a 1 or 2 a good day, and sometimes you're like a 9 and can't get out of bed. You can't even think straight because the pain is so horrible. And I remember having days where like I was looking for narcotics, how bad my pain was, but I was like, I'm not going that direction. I refuse to go that direction. I was in pain management, getting shots all the time because I didn't want to be on narcotics. So I totally understand your pain. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. But I always say start with this. Start with a half an ml and just do it once a day and journal and see your symptoms. Write down every symptom, like even moving. I remember I had to literally pick up my leg to get up out of a chair. You know what I mean? It was hard for me to go up and down stairs. I had swellings from my ankles all the way up to my kneecaps. So like I totally understand what you're going through.
I kind of feel that I'm in your body because whatever you're describing, I'm totally going through that every day. And it's and I'm a very extroverted person. I'm a go-getter, I'm a hustler, I'm all that stuff, but I love to dance, I like to do sports and all that, but I pay for it like the next couple days, I was like,
yes.
The next couple days, oh my God, I cannot move. My family and my friends tell me, girl, you need to slow down, you need to rest. And I was like, no, I'm gonna rest when I die. I'm gonna have plenty of rest when I die.
That's what I say too. So true. So true. Yes. And I understand because I love to dance. I love to have a good time. I keep it moving, right? You see, I'm a fast talking New Yorker. I don't know how to stay still, but for
Dr. Webster, you just froze.
Oh, she just froze.
Yeah.
Kid you not. And I could go dancing. I could go up and down, and I wasn't able to do that. I couldn't walk in heels. I couldn't walk in anything but flat shoes, because of the pain that I had in my legs and my joints. Everything just kind of rolls up right up to your head because everything is connected. But I understand. So I would say, please order this. Use Dr. Wright's. Use the pain balm. Use the turmeric, and then come back on a call with us. Are you within Ken and Globe or yourself, or are you just coming on to these lecture series?
I'm on here because my best friend's on here. We've been best friends since 7th grade, 45 years.
Oh,
So
oh.
I think he's on call, Alvin Wilson. I'm not sure if he's
Awesome. I see Alvin right down there. Okay. Awesome. Yes. So have Alvin direct you, help you with ordering these products. And you have any questions, we're here to help as well.
And let me share this with you, Christina. I just put the link inside the chat so you can see it. But this is from the Mayo Clinic, and it asks the question: is medical cannabis a solution for controlling fibromyalgia symptoms? Well, they say that the THC affects the pain, the appetite, and mood. CBD is believed to confer the anti-inflammatory and analgesic effects. And then you can scroll down. Why am I sneezing? I'm allergic to something, I guess. Most patients, 82%, reported improvements in pain symptoms with cannabis use. And most of them also noticed improvements in terms of stress, anxiety, depression, and sleep disturbances. Yet not all reported symptoms improved, including sweating, sexual disinterest, and fatigue, thereby indicating variability in response. Around 35% of patients consume cannabis, mainly THC, and 34% of THC-CBD mixture. So you don't want to use an isolate, you want to use the whole plant whenever possible. And daily dosing was not constant, 62% of the patients. But the study did reveal notable clinical improvements measured by the revised fibromyalgia impact questionnaire scores of 44%. It happens and occurs and helps in even small amounts of CBD, enhancing quality of life for women with MS. And I put the link in there. It has all the other links and all the other studies in it. But from what I've seen, I usually recommend it for people with MS, especially.
Okay.
And lupus. Right now, for those of you guys who are veterans who served in Camp Lejeune, Marines especially who served in Camp Lejeune, there was something in the water, and a lot of Marines from Camp Lejeune now suffer from MS, including my spotter and my sniper team. He has MS today, and he's using it in fibromyalgia. He's using it for the things that he's dealing with. I encourage you to just start, Christina, by going onto YouTube and just look at people with fibromyalgia and Google fibromyalgia plus RSO, fibromyalgia plus Rick Simpson oil, fibromyalgia plus cannabis, and begin doing your own research. I believe the best patient is an informed patient. And I want you to know that you've got some options. But I would absolutely begin with the Rick Simpson oil, possibly the Golden Gift, which is the turmeric product, and the Dr. Wright formula if you need it, okay?
Okay. Does that also help for Dr. Webster? Does it help with the vitamin D? Because I cannot absorb vitamin D, and I just need I'm always tired and I'm fatigued, and I don't get that. I'm at night, I can't sleep, and then I feel tired in the morning, and it's just I'm sure I know you explained that, and that I'm the same way as what you're explaining, and it's a struggle. It's been a struggle.
Yes. So for my brain fog, I also take vitamin D. And for my brain fog, I usually use the brewed mushroom coffee that helps significantly for me, and the lion's mane gummy. And I prefer the lion's mane. Oh, yeah, Miss Barbara White, she's showing it right now. That's the lion's mane gummies. It's very good. If you need something stronger than that, then I recommend the lion's mane cordyceps capsules. So that's what I utilize because the lion's mane gummies isn't strong enough for me. So I had to use the capsules, which is the lion's mane cordyceps combo. So that's effective. So I'm not sure, Ms. Erica, if you know about the vitamin D. I'm not quite sure if the CBD has any component with absorption of vitamin D.
I haven't heard
You
of
know,
any
you got like,
absorption of
yeah.
vitamins at all, but I would imagine whatever
Mm-hmm.
deficiency that you have is because your body is not performing at its optimal level,
Mm-hmm.
which means it's getting inconsistent signals going on between your ECS and your other systems. The first place to do
Mm-hmm.
it is just to restore the things that we know to be off kilter. And if you have an autoimmune disease, which is what FMS says, fibromyalgia syndrome, it's an autoimmune disease. If you have that, begin there. And you may find those other systems associated with it, and those other symptoms that you're dealing with will also be alleviated at the same time. Otherwise, do your part to get as much bioavailable vitamin D inside your system as you can. Sunshine, right? Proper nutrients, proper diet, those type of things. And assist your body. You got to treat your body as if it's the only one you'll ever have.
Yeah, it's only the only thing is that I can't absorb it. So people say, oh, well, you can just take vitamin D. I was like, well, I was taking 50,000 units, one pill a week, which I would
Me
have to
too.
eat a whole bottle,
Yes.
of vitamin D. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I asked that question, is because of
Are you saying
Mm-hmm.
you can't absorb it when you ingest it, or you can't even
no,
metabolize
my
it naturally?
yeah, it does not. I'm like, they said, oh, well, go outside 15 minutes. I was like, man, I played softball 4 nights a week, softball on the weekends, and I'm in the sun all day, and I still can't absorb. So I'm just, I guess, it's a deficiency,
It's
I guess.
depleted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you may, I know for me personally, since I've been taking the Uncle Easy RSO, I don't need as much vitamin D that I was taking before.
Okay,
So
okay.
you may,
That
because I
could,
also was
yeah.
taking the 50,000 units once a week. Now I take it once a month.
Okay, okay. Maybe that'll help then. That'll help.
Mm-hmm.
You keep
I
it.
appreciate everything, Dr. Weber and Easy, for your,
Yes.
and thank you for letting me share my story.
Thank you for sharing, and looking forward to hearing more from you. Some positive testimonials
Yes,
next
ma'am.
week.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
One more.
And
Look,
I see we have
Miss Mama Cataglow, Miss Annie Phillips.
yes.
Hello, everybody. I'm Miss Annie Phillips from Mississippi, Mama Kind of Globe. I had such a good time in Puerto Rico, enjoyed meeting all the Puerto Ricans, and so now we are kind of Globians. So my question, when I come across some people during this past week, and they want to know about the high cholesterol and diabetes. And I didn't have an answer for them because I didn't quite know. And I don't like to tell nobody the wrong answer when it comes to their health. So what is good that you all think, and it's an autoimmune disease, because I know, because they tell me I got diabetes and high cholesterol, but my doctor put me on stats, and I know that's not good because she told me to my face that once I start taking stats, that it will give you muscle spasm all over your body. It will destroy your liver. It will destroy your bladder and destroy your kidneys. And I said, and this is good for me? And she said, yes. So I want people to find out what that we have that is good for them. So would y'all give me an idea of what I might can tell them about high cholesterol and diabetes?
So I'll talk about diabetes. I'd have to research the cholesterol unless Dr. Webster knows something that I don't. But as far as diabetes, it's going to help, number one, with your blood sugar regulation. So that when you're eating foods and when you're processing sugars and carbs, it should help with that very well. It should help protect from any forms of retinopathy development from your diabetes, damage to the eyes that can lead to loss of vision. It should help with that. It should be able to help with weight management, again, because it removes the anxiety overeating that people do. So it should help you with that. It should help prevent some of the nerve damage, like the peripheral nerve damage that happens with diabetes. Reduces inflammation throughout the body and give you relief from the pain associated from diabetic peripheral neuropathy. So those things it should help with. On those ends of the diabetic side, those things I know. And I've seen those things help people with diabetes. And I'll give it up to Dr. Webster to see what she'd like to add to that.
Wait a minute, let me ask again. So that is the for the diabetics that you saying take the RSO and the Dr. Right?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
I make sure
And
I
it
tell them.
works. So just for the same reasons how Mr. Eric Carr was talking about for diabetes, that also helps with cardiovascular system, circulatory system, so hypercholesteremia, high cholesterol, all that, stroke prevention, heart disease, all that. If you think about it, is an inflammatory response. So so clogging of your arteries because of inflammation and scarring and the cholesterol creating those plaques that causes the blockage, and then you have the heart attacks, strokes, everything else. It's all a series of sequelae that happens together. So, taking the cannabinoids to help with your endocannabinoid system, which is like I always say, that's like the motherboard over all the systems because that overrides your respiratory system and cardiovascular system, the GI tract, your nervous system. It overrides all of that. The liver, the kidneys, the spleen, it overrides all of that. So if any of those systems are out of whack, that's when the ECS, the endocannabinoid system, kicks in to bring balance. So that's why you can see people on the RSO and they see we have diabetes. I've seen people at A1Cs as high as 13 come down to 8 utilizing this product. People with hypertension, blood pressure is 190 over 100, 210 over like 120. I've seen it come down to 120 over 70 utilizing these products. So literally, these are the building blocks that the body needs to actually help bring the body back into homeostasis. And when you look at things, a lot of people look at it as you think of stress, inflammation, all those things cause the body to break down. And that's with the immune system, that's with the your GI tract, that's with your central nervous system. Every system you can think about, inflammation just breaks everything down. So and this is a great product to help with inflammation. So a lot of things will actually kind of fix itself. And a lot of those diseases and conditions that manifest will actually clear up naturally just by giving the body the building blocks that it needs to help cure itself. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, that's great. I got to call this evening and tell them back because they was very, very concerned. And of course, I didn't spend much time with them, maybe 2 or 3 minutes telling them about it, but they were very interested. So now I'm gonna call them back tomorrow, and I got something to tell them that will absolutely help them. And that's what I love about being in this company and the products that we have. We actually have something that really helps people that are all over the world suffer with so many different problems, diseases that are affecting the mind and the body. So I am so thankful to God that He put this plant here, and I'm thankful to everyone that has something to do with from the CEO all the way down to people that's doing the brand winner of doing this product. Everybody's coming forth doing things that are bringing products that help people live a better life. And if we call ourselves Christians, this is part of what we're supposed to do because God wants us here helping other people. Thank y'all so much for the time that y'all put in with all these calls and you're helping people. May God bless y'all in all the ways that y'all need blessing. Thank you so much. And y'all doing a superb job.
May God bless you too.
Thank you. God bless you too. Mama Cannaglow, appreciate you. And I see some other things in the chat here talking about chronic fatigue. I know I suffer from chronic fatigue, and a lot of times chronic fatigue is your body is just tired fighting all the different conditions and bringing your body back into homeostasis. So a lot of times when your body is starting eliminating conditions one by one, you start getting energy back. So if you do suffer from chronic fatigue, if you suffer from the brain fog, people mentioning like the sunlight, vitamin D, and magnesium absorption. That's also very good too. I like blackstrap molasses as well as very good as well. I'm not sure if any specific questions, but I know all those things a lot of times with the RSO, it will help just bring the body back into balance. And by your body going back into balance, you will realize your body will actually sleep. I know I actually sleep better because I also have bad insomnia. So your body needs to sleep to heal itself. And once you get the proper sleep, everything kind of falls into place and then you have energy. So it's like cycles and cycles, and it keeps helping each other until you get back to the ultimate being of being yourself. So hopefully that answers any questions. I'm trying to go through a chat. Sorry if I didn't answer everybody's questions. I know we're running over 2 hours now on the call. I know we love being on here because I have such great questions. I wasn't sure, Mr. Eric Carr, was there anything else that you may see in the chats? I'm trying to go through and answer questions at the same time.
I think that's about it. And yeah, to a point that was mentioned inside the check, cholesterol for years has not been looked at like a bad thing. Cholesterol became a bad thing only in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain is mostly cholesterol, the fatty tissue.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain needs it and all that types of stuff. So I get it. I don't want to go outside the scope of the conversation that we have with Rick Simpson Oil and start getting into things and start wading into the weeds of things that I'm not, an expert in or have personal firsthand experience with. But the information is out there. Now is the time to use Canaglobe and to use the Rick Simpson Oil lecture series to begin doing your own research and start looking for yourself. Start finding out what's out there, what people are speaking about for themselves. Because again, the best patient is an educated patient, but it's also the worst patient if you're a doctor. And with that, I'm gonna give it back to Dr. Webster so that she can send us off for tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I see a lot of chat about the cholesterol, and a lot of studies are coming on that too, a lot of documentaries. So I'll say always Google it. You want to take our word for it. And that's a whole different ball of wax. We talk about cholesterol, but again, we could balance it out with exercise and diet and good old Rick Simpson oil. So one of the things like, even in closing, to thank you all, honestly, because this is hard, to be able not only just to listen to these lectures, but then also like to internalize, right? Because a lot of times you listen to other people's testimonies, you're seeing these videos, and you start thinking about yourself, you start thinking about family members, you think about people in the community, you think about people in your families that have passed away. I know I do. I feel guilty because my best friend had lupus, and she died before I had access to this stuff. I had people who suffered from MS, and I had people who died from that. I had my mom who was on hospice earlier this year, had strokes and got dementia, and it's just neuromuscular degeneration and just spiraled down. And it's like, and then during COVID, was that a part of it as well? And I didn't have access to this 2.5 years ago. So, and I have like uncles and aunts and cousins and grandparents who died of cancer. We always think of like, wow, if we had access to this stuff before. And sometimes we beat each other up. But let's just take that leap of faith forward and realize that we can help the people now going forward. And we could pray for our ancestors, and we could pray that they could give us the guidance to help people right here on this earth right now. So do not beat yourself up. I get teary-eyed just thinking about those things as well. And I want to thank you all also for just being transparent. It's hard to come on these calls to talk among strangers, right? And to talk about health conditions. But we wanted to create a space that people could talk about anything and everything that's going in their body, and then we can help each other because we don't know everything, but as a collective and from our testimonials and people's stories and people trying different things, we can help each other, help our communities, help our people, help our family members. And then we also talk about journaling. We said that multiple times. Journal, guys, journal, keep a journal. I keep mine over here because I have to write everything down because it's the subtle differences like Ms. Barbara White talked about. It's subtle differences you don't even know that's happening in your body. And unless you journal and you see, oh my God, like I am able to stand up right now without having lift my leg up. I am able to go up and down the stairs. I realize my pitting edema is not as deep as it used to be. It's not even there anymore. I'm realizing I'm getting more strength. My brain fog is going away. I'm able to make a fist. Some people can't even make a fist because of so much arthritis and pain and inflammation, right? And rheumatoid arthritis. And with these conditions, with the mushrooms and RSO, it's so many different things. But those subtle differences, when you journal it, you see it. So I ask each and every one of you to take the challenge with us. Try these products. Talk with us. Come on these calls every Wednesday night. We enjoy educating our community because it gives us a sense of community, a sense of hope that realize because this is how God created us. It was one big collective being, right? So when you well, I'm well, you well. It's when we keep each other lifted. And so that way, if we can help each other and this shifting the stigma within the community, so this movement, so we can help thousands and millions and hopefully billions of people and make this plant back to the primary medicine. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you. And I'm sure Mr. Eric Carr, if you want to add anything before we close, but please continue to journal, continue speaking the products, continue giving testimonials, continue coming on here Wednesday, continue inviting everyone so these numbers could grow and could continue with this shift. And like Mr. Eric Carr always said, it's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. And as we depart each other tonight, but never from each other spiritually, as we reconnect next time, I like to say good night to you and give you all the opportunity as we unmute you all to say good night to us. Love you all and thank you. Mwah.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good night, everyone.
Good evening.
Good night.